Al-Mashhur, who passed away a few years ago. He is the founder or the father of Fiqh Tahawulan, which is the study of the end of times, which is a very important knowledge for us to, actually important, essential, and also urgent knowledge for us to actually study, especially in our zaman. And mashallah, in his poetry, also in his mawlid, there are a lot of indications, directives that he gives us, right, in maneuvering, or in just going through the end of times, right? Going through the issues, of the end of time. So inshallah, maybe one day, inshallah. I do hope to translate this to get this translated by next week before the same this what day Tuesday, right? Before Tuesday next week, right? So that inshallah you all can see the translation of it, and maybe one day inshallah go through the meanings, right, in this Maulid, because he has very mashallah like very very deep meanings. All the Maulids have very deep meanings. They all have very deep meanings, right? But there is one section in his Maulid, right, whereby he speaks about the importance or the necessity or the compulsion, right, to spread the seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Means to speak about the seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And there is there is a very strong importance, as Muslims, for us to study the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam over and over and over and over again, in detail, as he calls this, period of time, the 23 years whereby Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a prophet, walking on the face of this earth. And of course, you extend the 63 years whereby he was a human being alive on this earth, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that in just those 23 years of his prophethood, is all solution, till the end of time. Right? So any issue that we meet in the end of time, we go back to this period, these 23 years whereby Rasulullah was alive, and all solutions to every problem, right, ila akhir zaman, till the end of times, every solution you'll find in these 23 years. And that is one of the mu'ajizat of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one of the miracles of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because like whose life can be like an entire blueprint for the rest of humanity till the day of judgment, right? I mean, subhanallah, that is a miracle in and of itself, right? It is a blueprint. Right? This 23 years is called in a marhala al-istidlaliyah, right? It is called the period of time in al-istidlaliyah. I mean that whereby you take dalil and you take proofs, as to what should be done, when faced with whatever problem, right? Ila akhir zaman, till the end of times, mashallah, right? So and inshallah, if you all study more, if you continue the classes of Fiqh Hawla with me, and I hope you all continue, and I hope you all spread it as well, to as many people as possible. Right, because the situation is urgent. The situation is very urgent. For people to wake up, right, to the reality of the matter, and to pull themselves away, right, from this very very obvious and very apparent, and very you said very uh uh the irresistible Dajjalic world order that we are in, right? So subhanallah, and have you all berkata ni, mashallah, may Allah reward him greatly on behalf of this ummah. Yeah, alhamdulillah. The class is every Friday. Every Friday is, if you're following the Musola Telegram group, or even the announcements on the WhatsApp, or even my own, I think my own social media should have it as well. You should find the announcement for the classes, they're all there. Right, so Bismillah. Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Right, so Rasulullah, so he says here in Mabusiri, he says, Muhammadun Safatul Bari wa khairatuhu Muhammadun Tahirun min sa'iri tuhami. Muhammad, he is the pure, the Safa. Safa is like the cream of something, like the height of something, the most beautiful, part of something, the Safa, right? As we described the word Safa yesterday. Today is the 7th of Rabiul Awal here in Tarim. Right. Tomorrow is your seventh. Okay. For us, today is our seventh because we began one day earlier. The 7th of Rabiul Awal is one of the riwayat. Is one of the narrations. That is said to be the birth of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. There are several narrations. Okay. There is a difference of opinion as to when was his actual birthday. right? So 12 is like the you say the majority opinion, right? The strongest opinion. Right? But there are other opinions, right? And seventh is one of them. Right? So in Tarim, they celebrate they celebrate every opinion. And why not, right? I mean, why not, right? So today they actually have a Maulid before Fajr. And that's how they celebrate. They have Maulids before Fajr. Right. So for me, this daily thing, if you all, is my Maulid before Fajr, because it's 2:30 a.m. here. Fajr will be around 4 o'clock. I need to answer this sometime. Um, yeah, but mashallah, today is 7, right? For us is 7, right? So they will have their Maulid, Qubil Fajr, later on Darul Mustafa. You'll be doing a short Maulid. If you all want tomorrow morning, if you all want to wake up for Fajr and do a Maulid, that would be 11 p.m. for me. Correct? 11 plus 5 is what? 16. Now I'm 4. Right, so 4 a.m. for you all. Correct? Is that your subuh? I still don't know what time it's in Singapore. Right, but I think on 12 midnight for me will be yours. Qubel Fajr, 5 o'clock. It's up to you all, okay? If you want to work it out yourselves, I probably be asleep. But you can work it out for yourselves to do a pre-dawn Maulid. There is a beauty in doing pre-dawn Maulids, right? Because you embrace the birth moment of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. I say so here in Tarim, they tend to do pre-dawn Maulids, right? On special days, special occasions, they will do pre-dawn Maulids, right? So because Rasulullah was born, Qubel Fajr. Qubel Fajr, and he was the Fajr of he was the Fajr of all of creation. He is a dawn of creation, whereby the light began to, because his Fajr is from the daily Fajr, whereby daily Fajr, there is a sunset thereafter. The sun rises, the Fajr is the break of dawn, and the coming of the sun, the coming of light. Right? But the daily, Fajr, that happens in nature, it comes to an end every day. It comes to a sunset. Whereas the Fajr of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it's a symbolic meaning. So to him being born just before Fajr, because his light shone before the light of the sun shone. Right? So his light shone first. Right? Sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as he came out of his mother's womb, his light shone first. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right? So and his light never ceased shining and will never cease to shine. Right? Sallallahu alaihi wasallam, from the day that he was born till the end of times, right? The light of Rasulullah is shining through creation, and that is the very light, that is the light that can penetrate even the darkest, the hardest, right? The most stubborn of hearts. Right, the heart of the light of Rasulullah can penetrate, right, these hearts, right, and fill them with guidance, with nur, with hidayah, with guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and bring them to the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by the barakah of the 7th of Rabiul Awal, because it is one of the opinions, of the birth of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the 7th of Rabiul Awal. You ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by the barakah of this night, of this morning, right, of this Qabl al-Fajr, right, this moment right before Fajr, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to shine the light of guidance, the light of mercy, the light of love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the light of closeness, the light of wa'i, light of understanding, the light of basira, the light of inner sight, to see reality as it is, and to see the way of our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to be the best way for us. Right? Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There is no other way except His way. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so inshallah, by this barakah, may Allah subhanahu by this very special day, special in the morning, special 7th of Rabiul Awal, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to grant us, inshallah. Right, Alhamdulillah. So going back to our text, Safwatul Bari wa Khiratuhu, right? So Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he is Safwa, right? So Safwa is the purest part of, he is the purest part of Allah's creation, the best of the best, and the chosen one amongst Allah's creation, the pride of the creator, the one chosen, Muhammadun Tahirun min Sa'iri Tuhami, Muhammad, the entirely pure, free of any accusation, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So he, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, is also free from anything, from everything that he Sallallahu has been accused by or accused of by the hypocrites, such as the lies he spread regarding his family and his wives and the mothers of the believers, right? So for example, in the slander against Sayyidina Aisha, right? Rasulullah Sallallahu, his entire family and he himself, they are free of it. Like they are free of the slander, of the hypocrites, the slander of the disbelievers. And as we mentioned earlier on, this, attack against Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has been going on, right, since his bi'athah, right, since he was sent as a prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So in our zaman, in previous zamans, in every zaman, there will be the enemies who try and bring down the name of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but they cannot. Allah will not allow for it. Allah is the one who will raise things. Right? And whatever Allah has raised, no one can bring down. Then whatever Allah has brought low, no one can bring up and no one can raise, right? So we have that full conviction as Muslims. And don't fear. I don't fear. They cannot touch the sanctity and the purity and the nobility, right? And the sacredness and the purity of our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They cannot touch him because Allah is the one who raised him. Right? So, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the one that Allah has raised, nobody can debase. Right? So he is, in addition, he is also free from any lowly desires in marrying them, as we know that prophets they are not subject, right, to shahawat, right, as other human beings are. Right? Prophets are not like other human beings. All prophets, right, they are not like human beings, and especially our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right? So these people who attack Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they only attack Rasulullah because they are such lowly human beings. And they only, see lowly things and see lowly pursuits in life and see lowly reasons why someone will be doing something. They can't see anything higher, right? Because they are low. Right. So subhanAllah, so when you look at marriage, you just see something so lowly, like lust as the main reason for marriage. Wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah. If someone had lust, right? You know what they would do in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? If someone had like this lust for women, they would just buy a lot of female slaves. Basically in the zaman, right? Because when you buy female slaves, the female slaves have no rights over you. Right? They have some rights of regards to slavery. They have some rights. Some gives them rights as opposed to before. Some where they had zero rights whatsoever. Right? Some gives them rights. Right? But they're not like a wife. Right? Wives have a lot for the husband to give. Right? They have a lot of rights to be fulfilled, for wives. So if someone truly was a womanizer, if someone truly was a lustful, individual, just wanting woman after woman after woman, like in that zaman, right, they'll just buy slaves. And for slaves, there is no limit, for slaves. They can buy as many females as they want. Right. And all their slaves are halal for them. I say someone is truly, lustful in that way. That is one of like the ways whereby if they want to, take a an easy way out, and fulfill their lust. I know, but marriage is not about lust. Marriage is about responsibility. Marriage is about forming societies, about forming the bricks of society. And marriage is about forming bonds and forming ties of kinship. And that was what Rasulullah was doing, and all of that in the path of da'wah. Obviously. It is so obvious, subhanAllah. Right, that it's kind of getting very tiring trying to explain this to people over and over again. Like it's so obvious, but it's our zaman whereby they have reduced, something so high and beautiful and sanctified as marriage to something just being, to please someone's sexual needs. No, no, anyone married knows this. Right? Anyone married, you know this. Like marriage is the part of lust or sexual needs is just a small part. It is about marriage. It is one part which is there, right? But it becomes halal. But that marriage is responsibility. It is working together as a team. It is bringing up the next generation, right? It is forming bonds. It is forming bonds with your in-laws. It's so many things to define it. It's so many things. Then basically it is basically people coming together, working together to build the next to build a world that is for next generation. That is basically what marriage is. Right? And that's exactly what Rasulullah was doing for the ummah, for the ummah. He was laying foundations through his marriages, not just because not just for the very next generation in his zaman, but for generations to come. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In his marriages, he was laying the foundations for generations to come, right, till the end of time. Right, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the question here, someone asked, can you explain? Why someone sent me a direct message. Can you all send messages in the open so that other people can see the questions? So I mentioned this a few times. I send your questions in the open, so that people can see the questions. So the question here is that how to explain that Rasulullah can marry more than four? Exactly what I just said. Exactly what I just said. His marriages were a form of da'wah. His marriages were a form of laying the foundations, for society. That was what his marriages were about. forming bonds between tribes. There were so many reasons for every single one of his marriages, and if you study every single one of them, you will see the reasons behind them. And that was what he had to do. So and it was the easiest, it was the most effective, not it was the easiest, but the most effective way, right, to actually spread the word of Islam and to spread, ties of kinship between people, and to also be an example to other men in how to handle their wives, no matter what the character of their wives, because he married, 11 different characters, of women, and he handled every one of them to perfection. Right? Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right. So subhanallah. So it is as if you can understand the definition of marriage, right? If someone can understand the definition of marriage, then you understand very obviously, very clearly why Rasulullah had many wives. Right. It's so obvious. Right. The virtue behind this. And to have a wife is a lot of time and effort on an individual. To have more than one, to have two, three, four, five, it's just more and more and more. You would say it is more and more burden. It is a burden, right, on a man, right, to have to support all of them, give them give them all equal amount of your time, right, and then on top of that, right, to handle the in-laws that come with the marriage. It's a lot of things to do, it's a lot. It's not just to just play around, not at all. As I mentioned, that if people in that zaman, if they wanted to play around, they just buy slaves. That's all they will do. Just buy slaves. Rasulullah did the opposite. He was freeing slaves. He was buying slaves to free them. And how many slaves did he free? Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. All these are proofs, right, against the standards against Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When they come up and they say they call him a womanizer, and they only call him that because they are womanizers, and they only see marriage as making use of women. That's what they are doing. So they can't see, marriage being something noble and being something to sacrifice of yourself and a selfless pursuit. They can't see that because they are not that. That's why they can't see that, because they are selfish and they are lustful and they are womanizers. And so they place their own image or their own understanding of in themselves onto Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Whereas his pursuit, in marriage is something so selfless and so giving and so merciful and so loving, and elevating of this woman and being an example to the entire ummah. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and forming bonds with different tribes and having more and more people. I feel closer and feel closer to him. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam, being a guide. To all people. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Salli ala Nabi. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. I mean, subhanallah, right? Subhanallah. Right? It is so that they are only judging Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam because that is what they are. Right? This is enemies of Islam. Right? Because they are like that. Right? So they judge in that way because they don't know anything else that's better, that's higher, that's so low. Right? But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he is so high. Right? Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And as I mentioned, so many proofs against their claims and against their the accusations, right? Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Anyway, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, more than four is one of his khususiyah. We explained it in the previous verse. This is khususiyah. Khususiyah is basically something that is specific for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There are laws in Islam that only apply to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and nobody else, right? Nobody else. There are laws in Islam that only apply to him, right? So, and one of those laws is that he's allowed to marry as many women as he wants. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we see that in marriage there is mahramiyah, right? That people become mahram to you, right? There is suhriyah, right? People become your in-laws, right? And there is a lot of goodness and beauty in this. When you study every single one of his wives, you see, right, the divine wisdom, right, between allowing this for or in allowing this for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? So and part of his khususiyah as well, which people will always say, oh, how come he gets special treatment? He is a prophet, by the way. Of course, he gets special treatment. He's a prophet. He gets on Burak, okay? He goes for Israel Miraj, right? I mean, he's a prophet. He has water flowing from his fingers, okay? And he, Subhanallah, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. I mean, he's a prophet. So, of course, but he has the heaviest work on this earth, right? None of us can carry his work. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We wouldn't even be able to take it to get wahyu, to get revelation. Right? There was once, there are a few narrations. There was once he was on a camel, and revelation came, and the camel sat. The camel couldn't carry revelation. He couldn't carry it. The revelation came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he sat. The camel sat, on the ground. And camels don't usually sit unless they really have to sit. But camels will stand. If you like in Tarim, if you go around Tarim, you'll see the camel just standing. They very rarely sit, no, camels. When they want to, they sit, lah, you know. But most of the time, they're standing. They stand. Maybe it's just hard to get up and get down. So, I don't know. But literally they just stand all the time. Actually, the camel sat, and there was once Rasul was sitting with his companion, and his knees, right, one of his knees was resting on the thigh of the companion that was sitting next to him, and revelation came, right, and he pressed down on that companion's thigh, his knees, right. It was so heavy. He pressed down on the companion's thigh, but the companion was like, I thought my thigh was gonna break. Like, it was so heavy. And they will see him, on a very cold day, he'll be sweating profusely, from revelation, and they will see him go into an intense, state, and he comes out of it, and that is revelation. It's difficult, right? It is difficult on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but he carries it. He carries it. He gave of his life, his self, his blood, his tears, everything, his nights. Like, he spent crying and praying, right, for his ummah. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One day of judgment, he will not rest until everybody enters into paradise. Subhanallah. So I really, like, people who want to compare why Rasul is allowed this, allowed that, because he is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he does that a billion times more than anyone, and then any one of us does. Like, we hardly do anything, like, for other people. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he has spent, he has done the most any human being has done for humanity. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And the proof in that is that Allah calls him Rahmatul Alameen, that he is the mercy, to all of the world. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So he has done the most. No human being is even close, right, to what Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has done for humanity as a whole. Right? Subhanallah. And of course, of his khususiyah is night prayer, is compulsory, wajib on him, night prayer. So if you want to say, oh, he's allowed to marry so many, it's like special treatment. That's one of his special treatments. Okay, his other special treatments is that he must pray the entire night, or most part of the night, of his, of his khususiyah. He's not allowed to take charity. Right, there are many things that there is on Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, there is way heavier than on any one of us. Okay, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, so Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so he's also free and protected from the disturbance of the devil physically and spiritually, and also of the devil physically and spiritually, and also speaking from his own whims and desires. All that he said sallallahu alaihi wasallam is all that he said sallallahu alaihi wasallam is inspired by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, that it is not لا ينطق عن الهوى, that he does not speak from his own desires. That it is only in a revelation that is revealed, and the wahy yuha. It is indeed a revelation that is revealed. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right, so to this explain this first part. Right, so he's free and protected. So he is entirely pure, free of any accusation. He is free and protected from the disturbance of the devil, physically and spiritually. Right, meaning that Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he once, said to Aisha, right, that, oh, it is your shaitan, because she was really angry about something. And really, mashallah, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he's, mashallah, he has his ways, mashallah, he's very beautiful. His ways are very beautiful. So there was once in Aisha, she was getting angry about something. Right, and then she began to show anger in her face, and then she has anger in her face. And Rasulullah said, I see your qareen has come. Mashallah. Your shaitan has come. Your shaitan has come. And Aisha, she stopped in her tracks, and she was like, do I have a qareen, ya Rasulullah? Do I have a shaitan? Imagine your husband doing that to you, eh? If you're getting angry, your husband goes, hey, your shaitan came, ah. Your kid's getting angry, and your kid's, your shaitan has come to you already. He's right there. He's playing with you. Right? In fact, shaitan in a statement, no, in the hadith, Rasul said, in the hadith, that shaitan plays with the brain of the son of Adam when he is angry, as how a child plays with a ball. And that's the hadith. And shaitan plays with the mind, the brain, with the mind of the son of Adam when he is angry, as how a child plays with a ball. Right? So meaning he's messing with you. So shaitan, he plays with your brain like a ball. Like, he pushes it wherever he wants to push it. He throws it. He plays with it however he wants. Meaning that he seizes your mind when you are in anger. Right? Shaitan seizes your mind. He takes your brain, your mind for himself, and you do mindless things. Right? This is why in English, we say when you get angry, you get mad. And because you literally got mad. You became mad crazy. Right? Literally, you got mad. That's why, the word mad means crazy in English. It also means angry, right? Because people in anger are crazy. They have lost their mind. Right? They have lost their mind. And the shaitan is in control. Right? So anyway, Rasul said, Aisha, oh, Aisha, I see that your shaitan has come, your Qareen has come. She's getting angry. And she stopped in her tracks, mashallah. She didn't actually get more angry. What? You have shaitan? No, we all do have shaitan. And she said that, do we all have shaitan, Ya Rasulullah? Do I have a shaitan? He says, yeah, you all have shaitans. We all have shaitans. And I said, Aisha, she said, and see the angles. And what about you? You also, do you have a shaitan? In that way. Like, and what about you? And he says, yeah, I do. I have a shaitan too. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He said, I have a shaitan too, I have a Kareem. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala assisted me over the shaitan. Like, Allah assisted me over the shaitan. فأسلم. And Aslama has two meanings. Aslama could mean he became a Muslim, right? Some shaitan became a Muslim, or he submitted. There are two meanings of Aslama. Right. So he said, but Allah assisted me over my shaitan, my qareen, and then therefore for Aslama. Right. So the shaitan either he became a Muslim, right, or he submitted, right, to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he does not bother the Prophet sallam, in evil, but in fact he does whisper goodness, right, to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the shaitan of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So mashallah, I can imagine the dire situation of her saying, and you, what about you? And he said, yeah, I also have shaitan. I do. Ay, mashallah. But his shaitan has qad aslama. Qad aslama. He has either become a Muslim or he has submitted to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And even so physically and spiritually, and even for black magic, right? The Jews, it was known the Jews, they had tried so hard, right, to send black magic to Rasulullah from the moment they saw him. Oh ya Allah, from the moment they saw him, and they knew with no doubt whatsoever that it is him, he is the last prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? And they've been trying to send black magic to him to kill him, right? So it's like you say it's lethal black magic, right? Fatal or lethal black magic. And there is such a thing as fatal black magic, right? So or lethal black magic. They've been trying to kill him. Right? From the moment they met him, they've been trying to kill him. But all of their black magic never affected Rasulullah because Allah protected him, except one time where they sent the most lethal black magic they could have ever sent to anyone, right? That would have killed the person on the spot, right? They sent that to Rasulullah, and Allah allowed, by Allah's permission, okay, Allah allowed for some of its effects to manifest on Rasulullah, and it only manifested as a form of forgetfulness. But also forgetfulness, it does not affect his memory of the Quran. Right? It's like, for example, when he was hit by this really, really intense, heavy black magic, right? He would enter a room, for example, and forget why he entered it. That was the effect. That was literally the effect. We were like, that happens to me every day. Mashallah. Like, but for him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like that was the effect. That was the effect that he experienced. When the black magic, a little bit of the black magic, Allah allowed to go through and to afflict him, so as to teach the ummah what to do when you are black magic, right? And also to mention and also to show in the seerah of Rasulullah that black magic, it is indeed real. Right? Do not underestimate. Do not think that it is not real. It is real. Many people are afflicted by black magic. And for Rasulullah, he is protected. And he is protected. Right? From it, the worst of it, you couldn't touch him at all. Allah allowed for a small amount to touch him. That was just like there's kind of like very, very, fleeting, lapse in memory. That did not affect his position as a prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, nor his memory of the Quran, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Tamam. Let me just finish. Is this okay? Let me just read through the last paragraph that we have in our class. Our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, being slandered and blamed still exists today, as we mentioned, is believed in the followers of Rasulullah. We should only respond in a way that he responded, right, in showing these people the highest level of good character, exactly, right, and kindness. How many people during his time who used to hate him and slander him embraced Islam when they were touched by his beautiful character? May Allah grant us all strength to be those who have the best character. So we respond to slander against Rasulullah with the highest character and the most beautiful words. And that is the way of the Prophet. And so inshallah, that's all for today. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. We'll do the dua after Maulid, inshallah. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Inshallah, one day we'll translate this Maulid. It's very beautiful, mashallah. How Abu Bakr Adini, he has a flair of writing poetry. Like every single thing is in poetry. Like for Habib. Like every single thing, every munasabah, every event, like he will have his where's the now get the dua is here. I'm using my own app. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله صلى الله عليه من كريم الجود نرجو نظرة نصلح الأحوال حتى نسعد